Urgent from Crimea. Russians are transferring air defense systems to the peninsula from all over Russia. Black Hole. Rosgvardia has been assigned to the Crimean Bridge. Shocking details of the strike on the structure. Everything is on fire. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. I'm Darina Hatsakalo, and here are the latest events. A real commotion. Russia is saturating occupied Crimea with air defense systems, leaving other directions exposed.
The density of air defense on the peninsula is higher than in many regions of Russia itself. PPO is a fake product. Due to sanctions and a shortage of microelectronics, the Russians have limited options for replenishing their losses.
The armed forces of Ukraine also reported that since the beginning of 2024, Ukrainian forces have destroyed a significant number of enemy air defense systems, including the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet and other targets. However, even despite these losses, Russia continues to launch drones from the territory of Crimea. The main launch sites remain Cape Chowder and the Kerch area.
These are mobile installations that can be relocated, but for the most part they use proven locations.
At the same time, according to military and political analyst Alexander Kovalenko, the occupiers have found themselves in a stalemate on the peninsula. In particular, the enemy cannot leave occupied Crimea without layered air defense. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces are regularly taking out air defense systems, turning them into rare specimens.
It's like an endless disposal of air defense systems in Crimea, or, for a more aesthetic touch, the Crimean Ouroboros.
For even more high-profile events from Ukraine's life, read our Telegram channel Times of Ukraine. Only the latest news and verified information. Check the link in the description below the video. Meanwhile, Russia is intensifying the security of the Crimean Bridge. Due to the seasonal increase in activity in the Black Sea, this task is becoming an additional challenge for the occupiers. The National Guard of Russia, technical units, and extra personnel are on duty there.
There's simply nowhere left to add more protection, but they keep trying anyway. The bridge is critically important to them.
It's no wonder the Russians are panicking, since last month Ukraine made another attempt to finally destroy the illegally constructed crossing.
It's no state secret that in April, Ukrainian forces attempted a large-scale attack using drones and ATACMS-type missiles. The Kerch Bridge, but this attack was unsuccessful.
However, that was far from all the forces that were directed at the enemy at that time. Sea drones, Sea Baby, and Magura were also involved. Despite the fact that the operation did not achieve the expected success, in Seleznyov's opinion, strikes on the bridge will soon be repeated, and Crimea has become a new Chornobaivka for the Russians.
Because right now, it is a black hole for the Russian air defense and missile defense system. We are automatically destroying their systems there. The enemy brings in new ones, and we burn them just the same.
However, obviously, while Russia is trying to resolve the issue of Crimea's security and is effectively exposing its own territory, Ukraine is not missing a single opportunity. As a result, in various corners of Russia, defense factories burn daily, ammunition detonates, and the illusion of security collapses. However, it's clear that Russians are not fond of this kind of fire show. What other special effects have our defenders prepared for the enemy? We'll tell you about it in just a moment.
For 2 days straight, wave after wave, more than 500 Ukrainian UAVs attacked the Russian military-industrial complex. This was the largest and longest raid since the start of the full-scale invasion.
This is the tactic of 1,000 cuts.
A year ago, we didn't have these capabilities.
A constant presence in the enemy's airspace without interruption.
Our strikes hit not only the very heart of the thicket, Moscow, but also targeted the most sensitive spots, facilities that the Russians have only one of.
We are simply capable of delivering painful blows to the Russians.
It flew over us again. Hopefully it won't hit us. What a drone! Why can't the air defense shoot it down? Where are they even looking?
The enemy failed to spot our drones in Saransk, the capital of Mordovia. There they struck the first and only factory, producing fiber optic systems. Its production capacity is 4 million kilometers of fiber per year. This is where they make fiber optic cable for enemy frontline drones. So halting production should help our guys on the front lines. Both Saranskabel and Saranskabel Optica were hit.
In Russia, this is the only plant of its kind that supplies fiber optic cable on a large scale, specifically for the Russian army at the front. According to available information, the plant has temporarily suspended its operations.
So, is the car moving? It's all good, it's all good.
Locals counted at least 7 explosions at the Basalt plant in the Moscow region, the power's main defense enterprise of Russia, where weapons and ammunition for all branches of the military are produced.
Something hit the territory of the alloy plant, and it's on fire.
The burning alloy plant is the only enterprise in Russia that designs and develops multiple launch rocket systems and munitions for the Solntsepyok. It was here that the Grad, Uragan, and Smerch systems were created. This is one of the top priority weapons manufacturing enterprises in Russia. Our forces also attacked the Instrument Design Bureau in Tula, one of the flagships of the Russian military-industrial complex, which develops high-precision guided weapons.
Now, Ukraine is trying to destroy such enterprises, which have no equivalence within the Russian Federation itself. Here we can see a certain tactic, a strategy to destroy enterprises in the Russian Federation that are one of a kind.
And here, for example, is how the Kamaz plant in Tatarstan was burning. In total, since the beginning of the year, Ukrainian kamikaze drones have attacked more than 24 Russian military-industrial enterprises. To defend themselves against our UAVs, the Russians deployed their alligators, which means the complexity of drone operations is increasing. Go for it. Masha, hit it.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
So it means we need to avoid not only the anti-aircraft missile positions of the air defense systems, but also try to stay out of the operational range of the helicopters.
In addition, 2 military airfields were targeted by our forces. The much publicized Kubinka Air Base in the Moscow region, where the regular participants of the Victory Obsession Parade, Putin's Knights, are stationed, and Shaikovka in the Kaluga region, the E base for Tu-22s with missile depots.
At Shaikovka, in addition to the storage sites for Kh-22 missiles, the storage facilities for fuel and lubricants were also hit.
Trying to hide from our drones and missiles, the Russians moved their Tu-22s all the way to the Belaya base, near Irkutsk, 5,000 kilometers away. Such a maneuver, firstly, is a blow to their flight resources, and secondly, they won't be able to get out of there.
They're hiding their planes from strikes on angles in such a way that we can't reach them. But it's unlikely that these planes will pose a threat to us from Irkutsk Oblast. That's too far. 5,000 kilometers, and they're carrying missiles on external mounts. So, in fact, they don't have enough range to take off, fly there and back.
It became apparent that the air defense systems were moved to Moscow. After all, Putin is more important than the airfields. To cover Moscow on May 9th, according to various sources, almost 200 air defense systems were transferred there. Even the experimental S-500, which is the Russian equivalent of the latest generation American Patriots, well, it was put on standby.
We're from the Far East, which is actually close to Japan. They are moving S-300 and S-400 air defense systems closer to the European part of Russia. In the Far East, they're now putting up decoys instead.
Our drones have halted Russian civil aviation. Hundreds of flights have been cancelled. In Russia, not only were the 3 main airports in the capital closed, which meant Putin's guests could very well have missed the Victory Madness celebration, but even the airport in Perm was shut down, and that's more than 200 kilometers from our border.
Russian aviation already has problems as it is, especially with their airplanes. And now we're also starting to regulate the flights of Russian aircraft. The losses for the Russians are quite significant. 60,000 passengers have piled up in the airports. Just the financial losses alone, these financial losses have already exceeded the cost of at least 1/10 of the drones that were launched.
And that fools and roads are Russia's main problems was already said by Nikolai Gogol. Without aviation, it's 9,000 kilometers from Moscow to Sakhalin, a week of travel, and that's if the road hasn't been washed out So controlling regions over such distances is extremely difficult, and airline bankruptcies are looming. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars, according to our aviation expert. And during our drone attack, entire Russian regions were left without mobile service and internet. That's also a significant loss. And everything they've lost will never become bullets or weapons for Putin. Oksana Radzivolova, Volodymyr Ostapenko, and Roman Sishchenko, TSN Week, 1+1, United News Marathon. Are the Russians really preparing once again for a strike on the Crimean Bridge? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button under the video and stay up to date with the main news. There are almost 420,000 of us subscribed. There's more to come. See you soon.